Hello, 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 and welcome
Hi,
everyone.
everyone.
You are just in time, as are we. Sorry we're a minute or two late. Hey, Thomas. Nice to have you back, man. Great to speak with you.
We're very
Welcome, welcome,
unsure as
welcome.
well.
Absolutely. The one, the only. If you guys aren't familiar with Thomas's work, you can either watch some of our previous streams. You could check him out on Instagram at Enchantourneur. I have to say, today I am very, very excited because this is a cool technique. It's one that's been requested a lot. It's like photo engraving. It's like some of the other ones we've been doing lately, but this is one that we've used quite a bit on the Rayjet challenge, and this is one that I know is
One of
it's
the
I don't
big
know.
reasons for me to shadow myself? Yes,
I will say like
you're right.
the amount of times like that I've been working the machine while like Miguel is steering the design ship like in the last few weeks, last few months. Um, this is the technique that has messed me up the most, and like getting ready for this stream has helped me to understand it a lot better. And so I feel like I don't know if it can help me, if it can help an inlay novice, I know it's going to be able to be a useful stream. We are talking about inlays today. We're going to start from the very basics. If you guys want to see some more of this coming forward, of course we will do that. We want to give you guys what you want, but more importantly, welcome, welcome, welcome to the stream. I think we're just about ready to get started. My name is Don. This is Miguel. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm very good today.
Good, good, good.
Less sunny than I thought it would be, but it's still pretty good.
Good.
And I will finally have a chance to teach you properly how to shadow yourself as well.
Indeed. Keep in
Yeah.
mind with this technique that like it seems simple, and I always thought it would be simple, and then well, I don't know. You tell me, man. It's like one of these things where we've tried multiple level inlays. I've watched Miguel do multiple level inlays every time, and he makes it seem easy, but it's actually quite tricky.
Yeah. Okay, so different from hinges. If you are familiar with hinges or live hinges, there's a different type of hinges there. Inlays can be also hard in the physical part. It's not just designing it, but also, well, inlaying it, right? Like doing the stuff physically, like putting two pieces together. Sometimes you have to hammer, and if you're with us long enough, you see that those like hammerings will break the material, the
Yep.
table,
Yep.
the camera,
Yep.
and some of the stuff
The
if we're
stream.
not, really careful with what you're doing. So it's a really delicate thing. However, when properly done, it looks amazing,
Yes.
and it's really hard to take it off. As soon as you inlay something properly with the right like friction, I would say there is no way to to remove that, as far as I'm concerned, unless you break the thing. So it is a cool thing. I try to do like as much as I can. Unfortunately, not always it is as good as I think it will be.
Hmm.
But that's the reason basically. It's because besides the design, you also have to be careful uh, physically with the materials and how you put them together,
That's
right?
absolutely right.
And yeah, and today we're gonna show you three ways. Like I would say, like a very simple one, and then a slightly simple one, and then we would do the proper inlay. But those two can be the first two can be really helpful for you if you're just starting doing inlays. You probably will waste a little bit of material. You probably will like spend a little bit more money, but you will have an inlay that actually works. You know, and you won't have to be breaking your head apart with curve cutting and calculating with the caliper, making sure that the thing's not gonna break when you put it inside of the other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll put it out there. You can take it, see if it works for you. If not, there's the proper inlay at the end. And yep, it's a simple technique with a very hard application. That's
Yes.
my take on it,
I was going to say
right?
really quick, if it's all right with you, I want to share this just to show for anyone who's not familiar with inlays. So this is the sort of thing we're talking about. This is a very advanced version of, the sort of technique. But basically what you're seeing here is, and I mean, look, I can't speak to this exact example. This is one I found on Google, but you're talking about, different colors and types of wood, each inlaid on top of the other. There's probably no glue or very little glue having to hold that together. It's just everything's been cut perfectly, perfectly to shape and size so that it all just kind of squeezes together and interlocks like Miguel's describing.
And send it out after that. Like
Yeah.
we have a customer called Keyway Designs, and they do like phone
Totally.
cases with that technique. So it's also insane the thing that they do with such a thin material, right? Because they did not use 3 millimeter wood like we were going to do today, right? It's 3 mil,
Yep.
correct? So the thicker the material, I would say easier it is to inlay because the material will be more resistant to the impact of you going like the friction, because not always will be able to actually push with your hands. You will have to hammer it or something like that. So the thicker the material is, the harder it will be to break it. So it's easier to inlay. And the fact that they do it with like 1 millimeter or less than that in a phone case is really impressive.
Oh,
So,
it's
okay,
unreal.
let's begin. And today I will try my best not to shadow myself, right? Because, like I said, it's a very simple concept, very simple design technique, very hard application, and the more complex you go, the harder it becomes. So on this, there is a work on the wood grain, even more advanced vision of the wood. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I'm gonna open my Ruby. So right now, for those who didn't saw Ruby yet, this is the design page of Ruby.
Hmm.
I put my name, but then I realized, well, my name is too big, right? I want something smaller, a three-letter like name. I don't know what name to use.
Where you can
So
find one
Don
of
told
those.
me, yeah, why? I have one of those. Like, sure, let's use yours. So I'm gonna use Don's name. And as you all can see, there are some things in here that like pop up to me as soon as I start dealing with the font, right? I want something more cursive, but also thick enough that I could for sure cut it and not like feel like it's gonna break every time that I move any part of it, right? But these parts here connects the O to the N and like the N to the other part of the N. This is this is thin. It's not too thin as like a script font, but it's thin, right? So I know this is the place where I'll have my issue. So let me put all three of us. Where's the thingy? Okay. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do an inlay that I call slotting, right? I don't know if that is the proper name to it. I don't know who invented it, but we call it slotting. We did a cutting table, right?
Cutting
For
board. I
I
thought it.
think
Yeah.
cutting board, yeah, like a few months ago with that technique where we engraved the whole cutting board deep enough that was the same thickness as the material that we were putting on top, and then we glued on it. So that's a cutting board. Can you show it like horizontally so they can see it? No, no, like at the side, like to the side. So this is like there's no bumps. Yeah, there you go. See, it's completely flat. So there's nothing like coming out of the cutting board. This is what we did, and we used trolleys, like 3 or 4 colors of trolleys plus the cutting board, right? And the technique that we did is exactly the one I'm showing right now. Is basically engrave deep enough with enough power and speed, and then just put it in top, right? You cut another material, put it on top, glue it, and make sure that both have the same thickness. We already tested that previous of the stream, of course, but a tip that I can give you to do this, the engraving, is to use order de three. I don't know why exactly. I'm not really versed on the mechanics and engineering of the laser to understand why order dithering engraves deeper than the other era diffusion options or color option, but it does. Right? I did a lot of testing when I was doing that cutting board, and the one that engraved the deepest was order differing. So there you go. Uh, and basically here, I would just copy paste the the same thing and change colors. You know, where is it? Oh, it's it. So I can have both. And this one, since we are not truly inlaying like the way that the technique goes, I would just transform that into an outline. Make a union. Okay. Before I'll make a union and then transform it to an outline. Well, why are you doing this to me, buddy? Right? Like,
It is a little bit strange. Morning, Jason.
okay, the font seems fine. What is
LCD was
doing?
asking if a solid black would engrave as deep as dithering, but you'd be using dithering to engrave a solid black shape, right? Am I mistaken in saying that, like?
Doesn't engrave as deep as dithering. Interesting. Yes, but I think he's talking about the color mode. If you're using JC, there's the color mode, and you can use solid black.
Yes.
But yes, using color mode or any error diffusion like Jarvis, Stuckey, or Floyd Steinberg is not going to engrave as deep as order dithering. Why that happens again, I have no idea. That's just what I found out with hours and hours of testing, doing that cutting board and seeing like what is the deepest. Because that cutting board took an hour and 20 minutes to engrave fully.
Yep.
To a depth of what, 1.5 millimeters, I think so.
Yeah, it's roughly around there. Yeah.
Keypad not supported. Warning on Ruby. I don't know. I never saw it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Jeff, that's a new one for us, but definitely we will send that in. I should say, when it comes to working in Ruby, I mean, because it's only recently had its release, anything you guys see, any questions you have, we'd encourage you to shoot them out here on the stream. If we can't answer them, we'll pass them straight along to the support team, of course.
Okay, since for some reason, I don't know why this is not helping me right now, I'm going to do that in Illustrator. But basically, the idea here is that when I outline it, I don't want this to happen. Right? I don't want it to have a cut line one side or the other.
Yeah.
And then I will just send that to production. And that's it, right? And I think Don is already doing it, aren't you?
I'm gonna send. So basically, I've got the exact same file here on my side. I'm gonna send it to the laser right now. Let's go here. Let me share my screen actually. So I am working over in Corel, just for fun. So one thing, I won't say debated, but like one thing we talked about was, do we include kiss cuts in, something where we're talking about inlays? I think what the decision we came to, though, was that kiss cutting doesn't really necessarily count as an inlay, although it does basically use the same techniques, right? I mean, like with the kiss cut, you're gluing something on top, but the general idea is more or less the same, where you're using, an initial engraving, or in a kiss cut case, like a very, very light cut line to sort of, ensure the placement of the piece on top is going to be perfect. Here we go. And I will, in this case.
So for Randy that is asking LCD, this has no combining Ruby. Yes, there is combining union. And like I said, for some reason, I'm working with that specific font directly from Ruby. Because when I import fonts to Ruby as shapes, it works perfectly. But that font, for some reason, is giving me grief. So that's why I'm going to do an Illustrator. Doesn't really matter. Or CorelDRAW, as Don is doing.
So I'm going to import my design into Ruby right now, actually. This one up. And maybe I will size it just a little bit. And great job. Okay. So now, let's talk about my material settings. So I've got it set to engrave quality, cut quality, but again, we could swap that around.
Okay. Yep.
So yesterday when I did my testing, I had my speed quite low. I had, let's see, there. I think that'll be fine.
Also, the higher the DPI, deeper it goes.
Yes.
So there's also that.
Okay, and I'm going to skip my cut line for now. I'm going to put in a separate material to cut out the outline. Okay, so I am ready to go. Just make sure my ventilation is on. Yep, I'm good. All right, let's go to, I think I have a laser cam too. It's like a whole professional setup. Check this out. Okay. Push laser. So one of the things with this technique too, like Miguel was sort of saying, it's always going to be easier to inlay large materials. And one of the things that I was messing around with yesterday a little bit was some like 5-inch or 5mm, pardon me, woods and things, some like solid wood, stuff like that, where it's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit easier to do. But I have to say, like in the long run, I think I sort of prefer this method in general, to be honest. Like I love when we can do the multi-layered acrylic inlays, where like we did a project not too long ago where we did like a flower vase, and Miguel was helping to coach me through like doing like an inlay inside of an inlay inside of an inlay with acrylic. That's probably one of my favorite looks for projects on the laser. But at the end of the day, like keep in mind that any inlay you do, every time you add another inlay within an inlay, it's going to get exponentially trickier. You are still going to follow the same, steps to get there, but it is going to get tougher to do. Okay. I have to say, it feels really weird to engrave my own name on stream. I should have taken Amy. Amy would have been a great 3-letter name. Hi, Amy. How are you?
Hey, there's Amy. Okay.
Jeff,
So
I agree with you. I think that my understanding is before too long that might receive like a "don't show this message again" like checkbox, potentially, like Illustrator and Photoshop asks for certain things. There we go. Oh, apparently we're cutting too. Oh well, that's cool. I'm using a veneer wood this morning, but obviously you guys are free to use whatever you like.
I mean, you can use that cut for the last one, right? So it's not really lost.
Very, very true.
If it got through, I don't know about the side of the unions.
Oh, don't you worry. I set it to cut quality. All right, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this. Let me try and bring it up, but it's
let me put solo layout. Okay. Is that a focus a little bit? Okay.
It's not
Does
perfect,
it seem
obviously.
too deep? Yeah.
I could have. It's not too
masked?
deep. I could have masked it exactly, but this is just for demonstrations. But all we've done there again is like when I was setting it up yesterday, I worked because I knew I was going to be using I'm going to use a Trollay's lights or a Trollay's thins for my. I think we went with lights eventually, or thins, pardon me. But it's just a super super thin Trollay's material. So all I did really was I use squares as a simple like testing pattern. I set my engraving power to like 100, 75, 50, and 25, and then just tested the lights against it, tried to figure out which one was the closest, and then just gradually sort of dialed it in from there. Nothing too particularly difficult, just kind of a same idea as the basic matrices, right? All right, let's take this off the screen because.
Okay, so I gotta tell people that because at the end of the day, with Ruby, we're trying to get to a point where there is almost no complaint there. So I'm gonna show you what I was having and why it's weird. So I'm actually gonna escalate that because it seems like a bug. So okay, I have two objects here, two fonts, right? And if I transform that into an outline, I don't know if the problem is just with this font. We're not going to be testing that on the stream, of course. But if I try to union or combine or whatever you guys like to call this, Pathfinder, it's not working. However, if I combine both of those, same name. Let me take this out of that line. If I just put two pixels together, select both, and click union, check this out.
Weird.
It fixes. Right? So yeah, it is weird. it was supposed to do that if we only just clicked in the thing. So I don't know if this is the font or whatever, but it is a tool that works with vectors. I'm not so sure about the communication with fonts, so I'm gonna definitely escalate that.
Yes.
This is especially for Randy. If Randy's trying to do something like that, I know that like, he was asking about this, so it works if you join like another pixel, whatever, with the last design, and then you combine. For some reason, completely.
Yeah, I've never seen that particular issue before, but that's a good one. Also, like this is the best bugger part ever because we have it on video. But
Yep.
again, you know, I say it probably too much, but just to reiterate again, like if you guys ever run into anything with Ruby, we definitely want to hear about it. Since
Absolutely.
we want to make it as good as it possibly can be. So, really quickly then, Miguel, if you were gonna, are you gonna maybe swap fonts? What would you like to do?
Oh, I'll keep like that because again, I had my backup. We are prepared. When we're not doing the rejet stream, we are prepared. You know, we try to set up a show that you guys will learn and like. You know,
Yep.
and we can actually fit that thing in an hour. So I sent to Don already an Illustrator file that I did. So I'm gonna show you the Illustrator file in case the Ruby again. Everyone, Ruby is not a graphic editor or a graphic software. You know, it has graphic software tools, and sometimes you see me trying to push it too hard because that's just the way I am. You know, I might shadow everything that I touch. So
That's true.
that's not the proper way to design something, I would say, right? Can you do what I was doing in Ruby? Yes, but it'll probably take more time to do that than in Illustrator, in which I did in like 2 minutes, right? So this is the first thing I sent to Don. A cut line with engraving inside that he will put the trolley's lights in. If everybody can see that, let me try this. Is it showing properly on the screen? Yes. So this is the first level, right? We want to show you, and he should be ready right now. Second one is this. So that line of any material, probably it's going to be one color of wood, and this one's going to be another color of wood, like a dark wood. There's going to be a light wood, and he's going to lay both with a backing. And the backing will be made of anything that he likes. So the idea of the second level is doing an inlay without having to deal with kerf, right? So we will just cut something, cut another thing, put them inside the other, but because there's something in the back, it will join everything together without the need to have all the calculation, all that material waste, like breaking things apart, you know, all the difficulty of the application itself. However, you will be using more material because you have a backing, right? So it will be a little bit more expensive in that regard. And this is going to be the second one that Don is going to show you any minute. Don, is everything right there? Are you good, buddy?
I'm finishing up my the previous one.
Yeah.
So here we go. Control these things. Perfect. Push the laser. So again, in the spirit of honesty, I began cutting our trellis thins using the same material settings as our wood, and they shredded. So we're just going to really quickly fix that really fast. Amy mentioned that the laser cam was super smooth, and I'm not sure if she's making fun of us.
I mean, I like the laser cam. If that's the HD cam, I don't know.
It's a beautiful, yeah. The camera itself is beautiful.
Okay, dude. The camera is not in the cutting. Like, okay.
Yeah. There we go. So smooth.
Okay.
As we said.
Again, this is live.
It's so live. It's very live.
So because it's live, if you have any questions, please put in the chat.
Yes.
And while we're cutting, I'll be answering those.
Right. Let's see. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it live. Here we go.
Can we convert our Trotec fiber laser to CO2? Ramday. Okay, convert? No, I don't think you can convert. because they're separate laser tubes.
Yes.
But you can upgrade for sure. That I know. You can add a CO2 tube to your fiber laser and make it a flex.
Yeah, with the speedies specifically.
So Jeff also said that's because the objects are text, you didn't create an outline. I know, but I don't know if Ruby knows that. If there is a separation with that. As far as I was concerned, when I was doing some tags in Ruby, if I click combine or union, whatever, it would automatically become curves. And for some reason, it was not doing that right now. I know that when you're doing on Illustrator, you gotta go and set that up, right? Like right click and convert to curves. So that might be one of the feedbacks that I'll escalate. That we have an option like that, just to make sure that. So yeah, there you go. Did you put?
No, I didn't put any.
Did you put a PM? Okay. So that's the idea, right? We usually use a 3M to keep it tight within the slot, and when you pass your hand on top of it, you barely feel the difference if you properly did the depth, right? So, so that is the easiest. I think it's Trolley's lights, right, Don?
Yeah.
The white. Yeah, I think it's Trolley's lights. That's the material. But yeah, so that's the easiest inlay technique that you can have out there. Just engrave and slot whatever you want on top of it. You know, there's no way you can miss that, and it look as good as anything else. You know,
It does. Yeah.
it's just gonna limit your production a little bit because you won't be able to use all types of materials or all thicknesses of materials. You know, unless you have like a 400-watt laser, then you can engrave deep enough to put like a 3mm thing. But if you don't, you are limited to Trolleys thins, Trolleys lights, you know, all types of flame-avoids, maybe cardboard paper, things that are thin. Mylar. Yeah, Mylar.
That's exactly right. Okay, so to begin with, let me share my screen again. You can see the file that Miguel sent me like he was showing you guys. Okay, so again, same as you, I've got everything broken apart. So where will we begin? Are we going to start with just cutting out our circle straight away?
The backing. That's up to you. Like, doesn't matter Again, this one is another simple way of doing inlays when it comes to design and application, because you won't have to calculate anything. You got to remove that. You got to remove the engraving in the middle Don, because it's not engraved. It's cut. So either remove it or just transform it into cut. You know what I mean?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. To inlay the word Dawn. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah, so since we're not engraving this time, you just need to convert that to a cutting line.
No problem. Okay, let's take our Dawn. We will take our fill. Oops.
Okay, okay. Right click. Okay, you see the right side of the screen?
Yep.
If you guys are using Corel, there's another tip for you out there. If you go to the right side of the screen where you see the swatch, right click the swatch. Yeah, right click it with the text selected. All of it, yeah. All the text. No, you're selecting the whole thing. You're selecting the...
That's fine though, still.
Okay, so just now you need to remove the fill. Yeah, okay, so Don is doing the 3 extra steps more than you actually need to do that.
That's
for Corel Draw, in the swatch area, if you right click a color, it will change anything that is selected to a outline color, and if you left click a color, it will change the fill color.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, don't worry, Don, this is live exactly. So it's way easier to do that. he's going.
Whoever said that is my hero. That's right. This is Lev. Okay, perfect.
He's doing a much more complicated version of what he can do.
Listen here. Okay, so
You can send that. So that would be the first layer, right? Uh, we might run into a problem of, because there is no backing yet, the O, it's gonna fall apart, right? The O of the Dawn.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I'm very familiar with the O and Don. It's a big part of my life. Here we go. Hold on.
So talking about the application of inlay, and this is the part where Don's gonna sweat. Like, believe me, he will, because there is no loose letters. There's only one loose shape in the word Miguel. Is the inside of the G. In the word Don, there's the D and the O.
Hmm. And in this particular font,
So
the like ascender on the D is not connected to the rest of the D, unfortunately. Where are these?
yeah. So let me put it back in my Illustrator once I can talk more about the design part,
Please
right?
do.
What I'm doing. Okay, so let me the screen layout. So this is the thing that Don is doing, right? As far as we can be concerned, design-wise, this is as simple as it gets. You just do cutting line, cutting line, cutting line, cutting line, put everything together, and you're Gucci because there is no friction, right? The curve is done with the laser. You don't have to calculate like an over curve, let's say. But this one, which is and is the true inlay, this word Don here has curve, like the curve compensated, right? Because kerf is the removal of the thickness of the material by the thing that is cutting it. So, for instance, if you're cutting a paper with a scissor, there is no curve because the scissor will perfectly cut the paper in two, let's say, right? It will not remove any part of the paper while it's cutting. It's just going to cut it in two. If you're using a saw, the thickness of the saw will be the curve when you're cutting wood. Same thing goes for the laser. The spot size of the laser is going to be the curve. And we calculated, Don calculated actually, so let me put this out there. If it's wrong, that's his fault.
Wait.
He was the one with the caliper. I'm just doing the design again, you know. So yes, I'm throwing him under the bus right now. So let me put all the layout again. So what we did here is I picked up this thing here, and as you can see, I put it inside of the other. Yeah. You can see that one is thicker than the other, right? So what I did is really simple. Like I said, inlaying, design-wise, is really simple. You just go to Object, Path, Offset Path, and you put an offset path of the thickness of the testing that you did with the curve. Don cut a square of 1 inch by 1 inch and calculated with a caliper how much was removed from that 1 inch, right? And I believe it was removed 0.006 inches.
That's right.
So you calculate that inside the offset and you add 0.006 inches, right? So it's a perfect fit for the cutting that we're doing. And when it goes in, the friction will put them together perfectly. However, there are some caveats to the design. And those caveats are the in parts, like the inside parts of whatever you're trying to inlay. So let me go to offset again. So when you're trying to add an extra thingy for the inside parts, it becomes a little bit more complicated. Because what Don's going to do, and I realize now that I made a mistake, Don, I'll have to send this again to you, is that you cannot calculate the inside parts the same way that you calculate the outside parts. Okay, so the idea with the application, this is where things get complicated, is that everything that's going to be out, everything that's going to be the frame, let's say, is going to have a static size, right? When you have your static size, everything that's going to be put in have to be compensated. However, if you have inside parts like that, like the O, they will also be static because they are part of the base, right? They are part of the base cut, let's say, and you will use that to slot the other part of the O. So that inside part cannot be compensated. If you compensate that, you're not going to be able to inlay that. It's going to be too thick.
So just to clarify really quick here on the cam. So you're talking about like, I'll use this pen. You're talking about like this section like in here.
Yes.
Like inside of the O, inside of this letter. Like on, like you said on Miguel, it'd be like inside the circle of the G kind of thing. Like.
Okay. So if you think about it, if Don was not gonna be inlaid the whole thing, the cut is okay because the cut is joined. It's conjoined, right? Like every letter is conjoined with the D, and the D is big enough that it can be like side to the side and be done on its own. But when you're inlaying, don't laugh about that. Are you alive? Anyway, no. So when you're inlaying something, you have a base, right? And those inside parts of the O will be part of the base. So you cannot compensate that. And I compensated because I was doing it really quick. So back to the design. The proper way to do this is to do that, right? But knowing that everything that's outside is the correct curve. Let me take this out. These are the correct curves, right? So I'll select each one of those and Control X. I think I selected the oh, yeah, I did. So, okay, this is the curve. And why the O is going to be problematic, it's because of this. Look at this. Since the O, the part of the O inside is automatically calculated, instead of going outside of the curve, because, again, let me try to explain that in an application mode. You're trying to expand things to compensate for the curve, not diminish them.
Yes.
So, because this is an automated process in Illustrator, instead of creating a thicker curve, it made it smaller because it calculates whatever is inside to go inside, like inwards. But you are not trying to do that. So ideally, this should have been like this, like going out of that. And the only way to do that is to remove this out of the design, Control X, Control F, and then add offset path. And now you have the proper curve. So you see, something so simple as a name can mess you up if you don't like think about those small things, like the inside of letters or some small parts, because the offset path of Illustrator or the contouring of CorelDRAW or whatever, or the contouring of Inkscape or whatever other design software that you're using, they will always do this automatically. However, when it comes to the application part of it, the physical part of it, there is plenty of difficult stuff to deal with. So you have to be thinking, what is going to be your base? What is going to be the thing that you're going to put every inlay on top of? And how that will work with every new layer of inlay, right? So I didn't catch that the first time that I did. So I have to resend that to Don. So I'll Control X this and Control V in here. And I will eyeball it because I know, because I do that. I'm one of those.
Miguel was texting me on the way into work this morning. Well, I was on my way into work, and telling me like, "Oh, don't worry, like I can just eyeball the curve." But I think I said back to you like, "You can eyeball the curve, I cannot." I just wanted to show you. So this is coming along really nicely, but it really shows exactly what you're talking about, which is like if you, so this is gonna be a little wonky, but you'll get the idea. So if I wanted to finish this, we don't need to do it right now for the stream if you don't want to, but if I want to finish this, all I've got to do is cut the remaining, I could cut a circle out of this red material to place behind everything, because right now, I've got to cut out the inside of the O again in the lighter colored wood here, but right now, if I lift up, everything just falls out, right? And this is exactly the thing that Miguel is trying to rectify. You want it to be exactly the same size as the initial cutout, in this case from the lighter wood, but because the laser beam itself has a thickness, unless you expand, your object outwards, like he's describing, it's just going to do exactly what mine does, which is, pass straight through.
Mm-hmm. And that technique that Don is using right now is, just, in my opinion, is the simplest way to do inlay without bothering with the whole technique of inlaying.
Yes.
Right? You have a backing, and that backing has a glue. You just put stuff on top of it. And I'll be honest with you, there are plenty of ray-jet challenges that I knew I couldn't do with proper inlay. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to cut this with the 3M and put everything on top of it, and I'm done.
And genuinely, guys, if you have something that's going to be mounted to a wall, let's say, for example, like if you're not going to see the back of it, use this. I mean, realistically, the inlay ends up looking beautiful. I mean, like what Miguel's talking about, there are inlays, a difference of, on each side of the letter form, let's say, for example, like 0.003 of an inch, like 3/1000 of an inch. It's not super perceptible, right, to the human eye in a lot of cases. But this will look incredible still, but will save you all the trouble of mathematics. If
it'll be a little bit more expensive, like we gotta put it out there.
You're gonna use more material too. That's true. That's very, very true. That's a good point. But at the same time, if you're pressed for time like Miguel is in a ray-jet challenge, then this really does do the job in a lot of cases. To really quickly, also too, just to answer your question, Paul, what type of wood are we using? This is Trotec veneer. I've got a walnut here that you can see in the laser there, and then this other one that I'm using is the birch, I believe. Yes, it is the birch. The light colored wood is the birch. So, with about 15 minutes left, should we try the real deal here? Should we try the real actual thing?
Yes, but watch out for the falling letters, please. I'm going to send to you a PDF right now.
Please.
So you already have the slot, right? The Dawn thingy.
Yeah, I have the original like Dawn that I cut out of the walnut, like this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
So I'm just gonna send you the curved one. So yeah, you can run into these complications when you're doing something that has any like inside parts of the design.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, Illustrator, Corel, or Inkscape, or any other design software, they will not discriminate what is inside and what is outside.
Yeah.
Right?
They assume you want to do a subtractive process, right? They assume you want to do like a takeaway kind of a thing. Really
no, they don't assume that. What the thing actually does is it expands, right? But when it expands, it expands both sides. So it's not just expanding outside, but it's expanding inside as well.
I see.
Let's say the O, I don't know, the line of the O becomes thicker outside and inside, which makes the whole of the O smaller. But we don't want to make it smaller. We want to make it bigger.
Yes. Okay, I understand. Just to give Miguel a few extra seconds here, I did want to show this. I brought this up for you guys. So, Miguel was talking about this earlier, and I think it is worth showing, not only because they're a Trotec customer, but just because I think they do incredible stuff. This is Keyway. So Keyway Designs on Instagram. They do amazing stuff, but all of these, as Miguel said, are done with, there you go. All of these incredible phone cases are done with super, super thin, I mean, like 1 millimeter wood sheets. They are, when you can see them, incredible. Let's see, I get a pretty good shot of one. Yeah.
I'm sending you two. Test both. See what works.
You got it.
I have a gut feeling that So this is so hard, guys. Like I'm saying, this is a very application-intensive technique that if you're doing like me, which I'm just calculating stuff in my mind, is really hard. Like this is something that you have to be hands-on all the time, especially if you're using different materials, because every material will have a different curve. This is important for you guys to know as well. Is that every time if you're using acrylics and you're using wood, they will have not only different curves, but they will have different friction. So they might be harder or easier to slot in. So there's a lot of testing when you're doing true inlaying. So yeah, it's not as easy as
That's the
it
thing.
might sound.
That's why I mentioned it in the beginning. Is like this is a technique that technically seems like it should be easy, but then when you go to do it, exactly like you were talking about the way that a stroke is expanded in Illustrator or something can throw off your entire design for a while, and you have to sort of like do some detective work to figure out why that might be. What I will say too, though, is that I still think this is one of the best looking techniques when it works. Just waiting for
As you saw QA design, like the fact that you can do that on a phone case and it looks so good, and he barely paints it. Like there are a lot of things there that he does with like wood, just wood, veneered wood, and that's it.
This is not showing up, brother.
I just sent to you.
Ah, there it is. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. Kerf 2. Electric Boogaloo.
So yeah, Don, do you have the now that I'm seeing the laser can, do you have the insides of the O that dropped from it or not? You don't, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. If somebody called me up and they were like, "Hey, I'd like to book a training session with Miguel to learn kerf," I'd be like, I'm gonna ask you to maybe book 2 hours. Okay, so I've got Don here. Just tell you what. Why don't we just walk through it together?
Those are both offsetted, but one of those has the original offset, the other one has the one that I tweaked a little bit. But I feel like in this specific case, the tweak might not be needed.
Okay.
And if I'm right, if I'm right, I will explain why. You see, like this is so weird. Every time that I do inlays, I have to be thinking about this stuff. Like the small parts, how they're gonna fit together. Because at the end of the day, the smallest part have to be thick enough that it causes friction in every single one of those slots, right? Otherwise, it will not hold. Imagine if you're doing like 5 triangles, one inside of the other. The smallest triangle has to be thicker than the kerf, so it holds all the other 4 triangles inside of the big triangle. If you
I know exactly
catch my drift. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take out this one.
So it's always like pressuring outside, so there's no way you can move the materials inside.
And we laser head over a little bit.
Oh, Don,
Yes.
Click the crosshair. Click the crosshair. Click and drag. Do you know about that?
Oh no.
You can see that?
That's so cool.
Well, that's really cool, right? So in
Ruby,
Ruby, you can
Ruby.
Oh,
okay.
You can click and drag the crosshair, and the laser will move with it.
I really like this program. Okay, so I'm gonna let this cut run, and then hey, so let me ask you. So if you were talking about how different materials have different kerfs,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that makes sense. But at the same time, Sorry, I'm seeing the reaction in chat from the click and drag. OMG. So if we're using two different kinds of veneered wood here, right? Like both 3mm, both veneered wood, are you going to see the same thing there, or can you pretty much expect that like veneered wood at least is going to be veneered wood? Or are we sort of saying like, no, still even like you're going to have
no, still, because veneered wood doesn't make it harder or softer, right? So if you have cedar and oak, they are different like hardness of wood.
Yes.
So in that case, one of those will burn more than the other, which in turn will make it like a bigger kerf, right? And by bigger, I mean 0.001 inch bigger. But that is a difference when we're trying to like have the best friction possible to hold everything together.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is really like boring when you have to deal with all this like math.
But
that's the beauty of application.
Yeah. When you see, I mean, like, I wish for all of you to get to meet Laser Dave one day, because like technically, like, doing applications, there's a bit of like a nerdy side to it, because you have to be mindful of like the mathematics and all of this stuff, right? But then it's just the way that those guys, like Miguel as well, the way that they take that.
Are we releasing a video, I think next week, or is this week, where Laser Dave sandblasted a relief wood and it looked amazing?
That's
like to clean it up.
I mean, spoilers, but like,
spoilers.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome.
I was like blown away.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. Like, Gleb talked to me, and then I went to our like unlisted videos, right? The uploaded ones.
Yeah.
And I looked at it. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
You can do that?
It's nuts.
So
basically, had the same reactions.
Yeah. So basically, when you're doing relief, if you guys ever did relief engraving, you are doing 7, 8, 12 passes sometimes to have the 3D effect, right? The embossing. But if you do that on a wood, for instance, it will get a lot of debris and like residue, and it's gonna look burnt.
Smoke and sawdust and
exactly. So to clean that with the magic eraser is simply not doable. I mean, you look at best.
It's doable, but it's like, I mean, having done it, it's terrible. It takes forever. And like, hold on, I'm going to take the laser cam up, because I'm going to wheel it over here to my inlay station for what is sure to be a great success.
And he sandblasted in like 20 seconds.
He
cleaned everything.
It's unbelievable.
It's insane. I was like, what?
Dude.
So there's a lot of application stuff out there. Like, laser is not just design. It's not just what you can do in your computer to the machine. Everything after that is also a big part of being a crafter. You know, 100%. There's a lot of talented crafters out there that come up with the craziest stuff on how to deal with the problems that a laser can bring. You know, because every tool has its pros and cons.
Well, and every material laser, as well.
Yeah, every material as well, exactly.
Okay, can you see any of that?
Yes. Okay.
Hold on. Making space. The SP2000 is technically my crafting station. Okay.
Here's the thing. Very expensive crafting.
It's a very expensive crafting station. Only the best. Okay. Is this what I think it is? Yes. Okay. So here's the thing. I cut one out of the walnut, and then I cut my name itself out of the birch. So I'm gonna see if I can.
By hand, right? Like without using a hammer, you mean?
Right. Now, Miguel's exactly right. I might actually have to, So, unfortunately, this is going in easily.
Which means
I've got the wrong one.
Exactly.
Okay. So we know how to fix that, though, because, I mean, like, although it looks nice, Susan...
No, it's not that you got the wrong one. It's that you gave me the wrong curve.
No, I didn't cut the modified one, right? I used that top one. So let me go back and use the one that you fixed.
The top one was modified at least to the outside. Like, so at least the name Don without the inside of the O's should work. Now,
because I cut the same one twice here. So I should have
really?
cut the original first one into this, and then the new one into the light colored wood.
Oh yeah. You're right. Then,
That's
yeah,
what I
you
should have done.
messed up.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah, he missed it in a different way.
I
So
messed it up. Yep.
yeah,
Here we
he
go.
cut the curve.
Yeah.
The one that I changed, he cut that as a slot, and then he cut it to inlay, which
Also
basically a
doesn't work.
double negative.
Double
So
negative, exactly. Oh man. Oh,
I'll tell you what, these streams are fun for me. I hope it's fun for you guys as well, because like there's so much pressure on me when I was in John's place, or I think in this case you were in my place.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'll say
so
that
much
like these streams are the most fun I have all week. I mean, like I love my job, but I like part of the reason that I enjoy working at Trotec is learning how to do stuff like this on the laser. And as you can imagine, it's like I mean, Miguel has a bit of a pass, right? Because it's really core to what he does. But like for a lot of us, trying to make time to just come out and use the lasers as much as we'd like is really hard, right? So these streams are the perfect opportunity to come out and just kind of, keep our laser skills sharp, right? Well, sharp as they're ever going to be. Okay, here we go. That's, I think, the original one. Let's go back to my enormous graphing table.
Also, if you guys see the Rayjet streams, and this is a good example why the speedies are so amazing, is that if we're doing this in the Rayjet challenge, we wouldn't have enough time anymore. Like
we would have failed already.
3 minutes. Yeah, because it takes way longer. Doing that on a speedy is taking seconds.
Oh.
Okay, now you need a hammer.
Gentle. I do need a hammer, but you can see.
So
I mean, it's not.
Yeah, it's not falling.
It's not going anywhere. I think maybe I have.
So okay, problem number 1 when you're doing inlay, you have to do that with a proper tool, not with the back of a screwdriver.
Dawn is the proper tool.
Yes. There's a type of hammer that has a rubber point,
like a mallet.
I don't know. Yeah, like a rubber mallet or whatever. That is really good to inlay those things, because it will not hurt the material a lot when you're hitting it. It can hurt your camera though, so beware.
Yeah, definitely. As seen in stream number. Okay, so
you definitely didn't need a mallet for that. See how Don is struggling to put your everything.
There we go. But you make a really good point, right? So now if I wanted to inlay this inner piece right here, like the level of, can you see that at all?
A little bit to the right, a little bit to the right, a little bit up. Yep, perfect. Up, okay. Up, yep.
So I've got the inner piece of my O here.
Yeah, let me.
And to try and inlay, obviously, for sake of time, I've done this not as nicely as I ought to have, but to try and get this to inlay in here now is going to be doubly tricky, because Miguel's had to compensate for 2 different. But I think
so which one did you use?
The top one. So yeah, you can see it's not perfect, but it's not bad. It needs some TLC, but
it needs a mallet.
Yeah, it needs a mallet. Don't give me a mallet. This camera's too expensive.
And we hammer, look, Jeff Hacker, and we hammer on an SP2000 because we were taking out something like that. Something like that.
Saying those words out loud, I heard a chill go down Mike Clark's spine in the other room. Just you're gonna do what on my SP2000? But you know what? I think in terms of teaching them the technique, that does a good job in showing. I would consider that a basic success. That is the genesis of how it works.
And the actual hard part, believe it or not, comes after that. Like
Yes.
when you finish designing it and when you finish putting everything together is so incredibly hard, and you have to be so careful. You know, I don't yet know. I'm not that knowledgeable about like kerf cutting and inlays. If there is like an easier way, for instance, if you like put oil on the side of the wood or whatever, so you can inlay it easy, and after the oil dries, like it's hard to take it out. So there might be some like application techniques to make it easier, the process, which I don't know yet. But to me, for sure, the hardest part is after we finish the design. You know, when it's time to be hands-on with the materials after you cut, that becomes complicated. So it's trial and error testing, and if you're doing like multiple layers of inlay, multiple depths of inlay, you will have to test a lot, like a lot. Multiple materials. Oh god, I don't know. When we did the Ridgehead stream that we tried to do the, I think it was Mother's Day or it was Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day that we did that heart with acrylic.
That was
just because because we changed the colors of the acrylic, the inlays were not consistent anymore.
Yep.
With different colors and types of acrylics, the glossy one with the opaque one, they had completely different friction from the other. One was slotting in pretty good. The other one was paying to slot. So it ended up that we did not do that. Right? We tried to do like a 4-color inlay, but yeah, it was breaking apart like all the time. Don knows that, right? Because he was the one trying to do the application part.
Yeah, and I think largely it was user error on my part. Looking back now, like even knowing what I do from today, I think there is something to be said for, you know, I would go about that application differently now and how I assembled it. I wanted to show this too, just in case. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, but for anybody who's not familiar, this little guy is your best friend. You can get one for like, what, 20, 30 bucks on Amazon. Little digital caliper. If it weren't for this, I would be lost on these sort of things.
What Randy's saying here, for sure, like whatever you can do in the design stage to help you out with the application stage, for sure do it. You know, I mean, unless you want to shadow yourself, so you know what to do. Just you know what to do.
Well, it's like you were talking about earlier, right? Combining all the parts of the letters together to make one solid shape for that exact reason, right? Like the less complex the overall shape can be, the easier your inevitable inlay is going to be, hopefully.
Also, I know we're getting to the end, but I forgot to show you something, and I gotta show that just in case. If any of you, I know Randy likes to do this stuff, and I know Amy and like Nicole.
Tomas,
I don't know. Sure. I don't know if Tomas is there anymore, but like Tomas, they like. Is it a noun now? A verb? Yes, it's a verb. I mean, now. where were you? Like, it's been a verb for like almost a year.
I mean, yeah, it's been coined in the Ragejet Challenge for a little while. It's Lev's least favorite word. Please don't.
Don't shadow yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's a worldwide verb now.
Yeah.
John Green loves it. Where is John when you need him? So okay. When you offset this, and this is where you got to be tricky as a designer. When you're offsetting anything. Okay, let me zoom in better. When you're offsetting this, see that there is like corners that have like a point, right? They're pointy. When you offset it, they'll become flat, but you can put it round or a bevel, but they will be either round or they will cut like this, right? Why does that happen, Miguel? I have no idea how that happens in reality. I know that some corners, when they have the wrong angle, it's something about like negative angles and how vectors are calculated. Like the program would not try to like put another sharp corner, they would just flat it like itself. So it just does that, and that breaks your inlay completely. So keep that in mind, right? If you have a lot of like pointy corners, this is fine, because if you see here, this is pointy. It's fine. It's fine. Everything is like working fine. The only part that is actually problematic is here. So this might not be a big of a deal because it's just one small part. But in general, try to not get this, because like as you can see, it's like this in here, but it's okay in the bottom. So this can break your inlay completely if you do not pay attention to this.
Yeah.
Right?
It's one of those things you kind of got to review your file really carefully just before you send it to the laser, even if you've done every step of the way, kind of thing.
Exactly. So just out there, I needed to say that because I saw this. I was like, well, and that is just because of the angle. I'm pretty sure if I like change the angle a little bit here, like open it up a little bit, and then I go to path, offset path, so it changes, like it becomes all broken down. Okay, this is worse. So that's my point. Okay.
I think
Be careful.
I hope you guys, I hope you guys found this helpful. I think in the long run, we might revisit this topic too. Again, it all depends on what you guys would like to see. But obviously, there's still a lot that we can show with inlays. I mean, this is sort of just a step one, right? Like we showed essentially three. Sorry, go ahead.
I think the next one, at least what I think, when I'm back there in the Mississauga office, I will do an actual project, like a big project in 1 hour, with like multiple levels of inlays, and show you guys from the design stage. I mean, at least explain the design stage. I'm not gonna do that live, just to save time, and show the application stage and the things that can help you on like producing a good inlay piece. You know?
Yeah, I think that'd be great. I'm looking forward to it, man. Okay.
Right.
Well, with that said, then
top of the hour.
Absolutely. Yep. I want to thank you guys all for watching today.
Thank you.
Any questions you have. I mean, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the usual places. Even if you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you so much for watching, and be sure to leave any questions you have in the comment section below. We'll grab them whenever we can. Obviously, a huge thank you to Miguel, man. Always a pleasure. With that said, we will see you guys again next week, and do not miss, on Tuesday we're going to be launching that video that Miguel mentioned, the laser hacks, and it is pretty cool.
Yeah, that laser hacks are amazing, so please watch that video. That will save you tons of hours. I think you can use that even to clean like normal engraved wood, right? You don't need to, we're talking about relief, but you know, if you wanted to just clean your wood, and it looks amazing. It looks brand new. It's weird. I don't know how that happens, but you know, it's a hack. That's why it's a hack.
It's pretty cool. Okay, with that,
everyone,
with that teaser.
Have a good weekend. Take care.